Hi FS faculty, it's Heather again with another video about something I learned in the AQ courses I took in the 23-24 academic year. In one of the courses, the idea was raised about the usefulness of surveying students about their prior knowledge. Surveying students about their prior knowledge helps students engage with the material very early in the module or in the topic if you're in a face-to-face or remote class. And it's a form of active learning because you're asking students to reflect upon what they already know. Also, surveys are useful for us as faculty to help structure our instruction. So I have an example here from FS 100 right before or right at the beginning of the information literacy module. Many of us know that our students may have had a research presentation in another class, or they may not be a new student taking our courses and may have learned about research and information literacy in other classes. So here's an example of where I used a simple Google form to do an anonymous survey in FS 100, again right at the beginning of the information literacy module. I asked students to take the survey, and then I checked on these results at near the beginning of the weekly module to get a sense of students' prior knowledge of this concept. For this survey, I simply used a very brief Google form with questions asking students to check off if they have used our Hack Library databases, if they know what elements to use to evaluate the quality of research, and then because I use Google Docs and slides for my group project, which is a research project, I ask them about their knowledge with Google Docs and slides. Again, I placed this survey as one of the first elements in the weekly module, and then after a few days, I looked at the results and was able to adjust, if needed, based on the students' responses. Now, I certainly didn't get everyone responding early in the week, as we know many of our students wait until later in the week to do their online coursework, but I was able to get at least a handful of results to know whether or not I needed to include more videos, more explanation, delete some videos or explanation about any of these topics. Another way to use surveys is to gauge students' understanding of our assignment instructions, and I have found these to be very useful. So in FS 101, we have what we call rest stop assignments that are larger, more in-depth assignments asking students to collate their knowledge about the previous segments of the course. And the rest stops are scaffolded, where each consecutive rest stop assignment asks students to include information and knowledge from previous rest stop assignments. So they're pretty in-depth. So what I do is I list the assignment, which of course has the instructions detailed on the assignment, and then immediately after the assignment, I ask students to complete a survey to gauge their level of understanding about the instructions for this more in-depth assignment. I made these as surveys anonymous so that students hopefully wouldn't be afraid to actually answer them. And they are brief. I ask students if they understand the instructions for the assignment, how the assignment relates to work we've completed in this segment of the class, whether they have the resources they need to complete the assignment, and whether they understand how this assignment will be graded. And I do use grading rubrics in FS 101. If a student answered no for any of those questions, I have provided a comment box and asked them to explain the reason for answering no associated with the number of the item to which they answered no. In FS 101, my courses run from Monday to Monday, so I look at the survey results no later than Thursday, because I do want to see if students are indicating mostly yeses or if there are some no's and comments that I need to address before the assignment is due on Monday. So in Brightspace, these are surveys you can create. Again, just go to Edit Course and go to Surveys, and this is where you can set up your survey. Then what you do is you just click on the drop down next to your survey and click on Statistics to see the responses. So now I used the same survey for actually a couple assignments, which is why you will see quite a few responses. What I have learned is I need to create a survey for each assignment, because after getting many responses, it can be hard to tell which assignment they're referring to. But it still gives you an idea here where I understand the instructions. The majority are saying yes, that's pretty good. Some are saying not sure, but no one is saying no, so I feel okay about that. I understand how this assignment relates to the work we've completed. Vast majority yes, no no's. I have the resources listed. Again, vast majority yes, no no's. And I understand how this assignment will be graded. See the grading rubric. Again, vast majority yes and no no's. So I feel pretty confident about that. Then in the comments, where I asked students to explain if they answered no to any item, I was able to get a little more detail in a couple cases. Many people just put something in to put a comment in the box. But if you see the comment that says, I wasn't sure about how many possible careers we should be writing about. The instructions seemed to indicate one career as minimum, but it seemed a bit unclear. So when I received that response in that particular week, I was able to address that question for everyone in the class well in advance of the deadline. I always send a weekly reminder to my online students, and again, I usually send that Wednesday or Thursday of the week before the Monday deadline. So when I saw this response, even though it was only one person writing it, I answered this question in my weekly message. I said, someone wrote about this in the survey this week, and you're actually supposed to be writing about 3 careers. Just to clarify, you're writing about 3, but then I was able to look at my instructions again and clear those up as well. And finally, even though I mentioned it a minute ago, if you're not familiar with how to create surveys in Brightspace, you go to Edit Course, and you'll see Surveys. When you create a survey, then you can place the survey wherever you wish in your weekly module.